Welcome to I Heart Geek.
And welcome to another episode of I Heart Geek. It's kind of a vampire slayery type of day, I think. Yeah, something like that.
Every day is a vampire slayery type of day, Deb.
Well, you know, if you deal with our host, this episode is brought to you by Wooden Stakes, only sold to you by Christy Swanson. We're talking Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and this is going to be a fun day. I'm here today with Christina, and I'm here with Blythe, and we're here with Siege. And who is that we got here?
It's my cat.
Hoffman. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm so happy to be here. I miss you guys.
We miss
For
you.
those of you, oh man, for those of you watching on the YouTubes, I'm doing a show right now. So welcome to my show. Yes, and I have a frequent special guest during the show because I cannot shut my door. So you'll have to come to YouTube to see who's guesting in my play 8 nights a week. So 8 shows a week, I should say.
Okay, so let's get right into this today. We're talking Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I want to ask this. This is one of those properties that people are adamantly huge into. Why does this universe appeal to so many people? We're talking Buffy and we're talking Angel, and we're also going to kind of hit on the movie itself and the comic book, the Joss Whedon. Is this technically the Whedonverse?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's where Whedon got started, or I mean, it's not where he started, but it's what rose him up to be that pop culture like phenomenon that he became.
So
absolutely.
So let's talk about this. Why does this appeal to such a freaking broad range of people? I mean, every walk of life is into Buffy. A lot of people that shouldn't be into Buffy are into Buffy. Why? Let's start with you, Christina. Why is that?
I think it was a different take on the vampire verse in general. And I think that for me, I really fell right into it. Now, side note, I wasn't a big fan of the movie, but I loved the series. And I loved how they took that universe and they started small and they just continued to expand it and make it bigger and bigger and bigger. And they just kept dragging you deeper in because it wasn't that typical vampire movie that we're used to.
Fair enough. What about you, Satomi?
Well, what Christina said, but also, so we've had a fascination with all things vampire for centuries. I mean, it's just a human thing. I think it's because of that blood connection, and we love the spooky. But the thing that Joss Whedon did is he made it universally accessible by plopping everyday people. Now, guaranteed they were, sort of larger than life versions of all the people that we run into. But it was very much like, this is our language. This is the language that we speak today and the reactions that we would have today, which is what made it so much fun. I sort of poo-pooed it at the beginning. I wouldn't watch it because I thought, well, that looks,
the name?
That looks ridiculous. I saw the movie and I actually enjoyed it at the time. And I was like, oh, well, that's a bunch of, silly fluff. Isn't that fun? And then a friend of mine was into it and made me watch an episode. And after one episode, I was like, this is different. This is incredible.
Yeah.
And I've been a fan ever since.
Nice. Miss Geeky Page?
It's the same thing that everybody's already said. It merged the horror genre, the vampire genre, into and at the time into the 90210 world, which was such a unique take on it. And in my case, I was a teenager at the time, so I was close in age to Buffy and Xander. And so for me, it was I was going through a lot of the same experiences minus the paranormal stuff. No, I wasn't killing any vampires
You
or
didn't have a
Sure?
sister that just magically
giving a
appeared.
soul back to my undead boyfriend and then having to kill him. I wasn't doing any of that. But like, the everyday stuff, you were doing. I mean, going to school and trying to navigate relationships and friendships and school and all that stuff. Buffy was doing the same things. And she was killing vampires and demons. And it was inherently funny. Like, that's what's so campy and fun about the movie too, is it's inherently funny. And up until that point, vampires weren't really funny. I mean, there were things like the Hammer films where they were slightly funny, or Once
Or
Bitten
like the
came
silly
out.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, like I think Once Bitten, I don't know if anybody's seen that, but it's got Jim
Yes.
Carrey in it.
Jim Carrey's first.
Yeah, that was funny, but the vampires weren't funny. And this made demons and vampires deadly and evil, but also highly amusing at the same time. So
Well,
it was fun.
if I can kind of, it may be amusing, but I would actually say more of a cool thing. And this was, I think they took that from Lost Boys. I feel like this is closer related to Lost Boys than than even Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie. This feels
Yeah.
more like Lost Boys.
Because it still has the darkness.
Yeah.
It still has, yeah.
What about you? Blige? You got any hot take on this?
So I think it reached out to a demographic that the vampire verse hadn't really reached out to since then. It reached out to that young, like Courtney was saying, that younger teenage crowd that really capitalized on the shows like 90210, Saved by the Bell. At that time in the 90s, that's when you had all those like teenage sitcoms coming out.
Yeah.
So it really took that idea, put it into that supernatural element, and really almost created like one of the first like word of mouth like culty shows for a younger generation. So like Satomi said, she thought it was dumb until one of her friends said, "Hey, you got to check this out. This is pretty cool." I'm sure that happened all over high schools across America. You had kids that were just somewhere interested in it and were like, "Hey, you need to come watch this with me after school." And they just got into it and fell in love with it because they could relate to those characters.
Well, this was the first show that I remember sitting in a Juno or AOL chat room. I don't remember which one it was at the time. This was the only show that people were talking about. And that was before I got into it at all. And I'm like, what is this? This is a bunch of teenage girls, blah, blah, blah. Because I really enjoyed the movie, but this wasn't the movie. And at the time, this was definitely not my demographic until I got a little older. So I jumped onto it way late. But yeah, this was definitely one of those. I think the internet saved this show because this is what people were talking about in those old chat rooms. That, wow, I feel old right now that I'm saying chat rooms. But that's what I think really fed this show. Now, controversial statement or not controversial statement, I don't know. I don't think they should have called this Buffy the Vampire Slayer because of the movie. This was so much different. That's why I didn't give it the chance. I enjoyed the movie, but I wasn't going to watch a series with Paul Rubens again. I watched that with Pee-wee's Playhouse. That was enough for me. Do you think it hindered or helped with the name Buffy? Satomi?
I honestly, I could see your point because it had the sheen of the film on it. So people thought that they needed to expect what the film was in the series. But honestly, that's what the show is about. That was Joss Whedon's vision. And I think he made I think it was the right decision to hold to his guns and be like, this is the show that I wanted to produce. That did not happen with the film. So while it did, I think, hinder the property at the beginning, clearly she's doing okay now.
Yeah, they'll have like $1 billion in their accounts.
yeah, all is well in Buffy land.
Now, another thing with this name is, and I'm going to ask Blythe this in a second. With the name, that's a really hard sell to a male audience. You know, like I said, I didn't watch it because of the demographic. I was out of the demographic at that point until I figured it out when I got a little older. But I think the name also hindered, you know, any male audience, especially at first. Again, because the internet saved it, that's one thing, but that it could have killed it. I think just because of the male demographic on that. Blythe, what do you think on that?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think with a name like that, you would take a shot with the male demographic. The only issue, or the only thing being, the male demographic had so much stuff at the time. It didn't matter. The female demographic is what you wanted at that moment in time. So I think making that decision and not not just going full force on the male demographic was definitely a smart choice on their part. And I think as far as the movie goes, the movie's just a prequel. So why not just call the show the same thing?
Fair enough. And again, I enjoyed the movie more.
My little brother had never seen the movie, and he walked in one day when I was watching Buffy, and he was like, "Why haven't you ever told me about this?" And I said, "Well, you're a guy. I didn't think you'd like it." And he's like, "Hot chicks killing vampires? I'm in." So
wearing leather.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's just actually, you know what I want to discuss before we get to the characters themselves is kind of the difference between Angel and Buffy. While they are definitely in the same universe, and you know there's a lot of crossover, they seem like very, very different shows. Even as far as the camera work, it's very, very different. What do you guys see as the main differences between Angel and Buffy? Let's start with Christine on this one.
They're on two different paths, first of all. One is on redemption for himself by saving others, and she's saving the world, and his character just continues to evolve. But then it's also Los Angeles, so it's glamorous and gritty at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Let's go with you, Courtney.
I actually preferred Angel. That was my thing. Like I've seen
all one or the other.
Angel. Yeah, I loved it both, but I watched more. I've seen every episode of Angel. I don't think I've seen every episode of Buffy, if that makes any sense. But yeah, I mean, Christine, I think hit the nail on the head. It's the journey of the two characters, and I mean, while they're called Buffy and Angel, they are ensemble shows. They're not just about Buffy, and they're not just about Angel. Everything is on. Because it's set in Los Angeles, Angel's set in Los Angeles, everything's on a slightly grander scale. Even though Buffy's out saving the entire world, she's in this little hellmouth, this small town of Sunnydale, California. And so it feels that everything is, I guess, everything is more personal and more intimate in Buffy, whereas there's still some of that in Angel, but everything slightly on a grander scale. I mean, especially when they get the new office in Angel, which is the old hotel, and then they end up in Wolfram and Hart, even their headquarters.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, in Buffy, the little group was always called the Scooby Gang, whereas they were never really given that kind of a nickname in Angel. But it's still that same intimate group of people. So.
Fair enough. So tell me.
Well, Buffy is very much a coming of age story. So you're talking about lessons that are being learned as you're going through high school and through college. And it's true that Buffy has more than her share of adult issues, but it's also that journey of going from a teenager through young adult into a responsible adult. So you're watching a lot of allegory for those issues, whereas Angel is already an adult.
Yeah.
So Angel's issues are much more adult leaning, and they tend to be, even if you look at the episodes, because all of them are allegory. And if you look at the subject matter in the episodes, they're much broader, you know, what you deal with once you've already graduated, so to speak. So redemption also tends to be a heavier weight when you are an adult because you've lived more life. So he's just dealing with, it's just sort of an extension as far as the human animal learning.
Yeah.
And I just brought that real deep. So
Whew.
handing it back to you.
Okay, yeah, Blythe, dig us out of the pit, man.
So I'm the opposite of Courtney. I actually have watched all of Buffy and very few episodes of Angel, and I think that's just because the character of Angel, I never got it.
Your Team Spike is what you're saying.
Exactly, Team Spike all the way.
So
but I just don't. It was he just was too brooding and too just like all the time. I just wasn't into it, and I wonder if maybe if I would have watched it, because I also didn't watch Buffy until maybe a few years ago when me and Tara got together. She's super into Buffy, and she's like, "You need to check out the show." And I watched the whole thing. We binged through it. So. Yeah, I just think that Buffy is just more lighthearted, more fun. And anytime I'd seen anything with Angel in it, it was just more brooding, more serious, and I just wasn't into that. I think I watched a couple of Angel episodes where like they did some crossover where like Sarah Michelle Gellar came in and the cast for Buffy went over to Angel. I watched a few of those, but other than that, I stayed away.
Honestly, it's the cinematography that kills me on Angel. I don't like it. It feels like a sort of like I love the show Psych, but the way it's shot and the way the light is and everything else, it looks like a soap opera to me. Buffy felt, dark and more Gen X, I guess you could say. But Angel felt very much grown up Gen X, and I was like, is this going to be an LA Law show? That's kind of the way the lighting looked, and that's what really drew me away from Angel more. I know it's kind of petty. So I want to talk about some of our favorite characters. So we're just going to kind of go around a little bit and discuss our favorite characters on the show, or especially the side characters. I'm a huge fan of the Xander, Willow, Niles.
Giles.
Thank you.
He's a huge fan.
Well, those are the ones. That's actually my three favorite characters on the show because they added the humanity to the show a lot more. So let's kind of discuss some of our favorite characters. Let's start with since it went last time, Blythe.
So some of my favorite characters, one would be Oz. I don't think he gets enough love when people talk about the show. Seth Green. I just enjoy Seth Green in most things that he's in. He just does
especially Robot Chicken.
Yep, especially. But yeah, he definitely is one of those characters that when they introduced him and when he got, I'm surprised that he wasn't on there for longer than he was, because he definitely was so entwined with this group, and then they just kind of there was reasons for it, but then they parted ways and you didn't see him for a long time.
Yeah.
I also like the Xander, Willow, Giles. Like you said, I think it humanizes Buffy. And also at the beginning of the show, Buffy's really annoying.
I would not disagree.
Yeah, she's not the most pleasurable until she starts learning the lessons and growing, which is great for a character arc. That's what you want. You want an undesirable character and you want to fall in love with that character over time. But they did a great job at that. Yeah. But you fall in love with Xander and Willow right away. They're just they're great together. They great work off of each other.
And Allison Hannigan is a freaking genius.
Yeah, Allison Hannigan's great.
Absolutely is.
Mm-hmm. And then I also like when the Mandalorian pops up in Buffy.
Yep. For like a split second.
Yeah, a split second. Good old Pedro Pascal's one of the vamps.
They had a lot of special guests.
Yeah,
a lot. Christina, what about you? Go ahead, Tomi. Finish up first.
I was just going to say it's Buffy's freshman year in college, I believe.
Yeah.
I loved Charisma. I loved her snarky attitude. I liked her character arc, watching her grow and change.
Yeah.
I really kind of connected with, because she's on the outside looking in. And I think for all of us as an audience, we were on the outside looking in. And so she was that one character that you really were annoyed by, but you really started to watch her grow and expand. And then my other second favorite character is the music.
Oh yeah, Nerf herder. I just love that so much.
Oh, real fast.
Go
I
ahead.
forgot one. Emma Caulfield as Anna. She was
Yes.
great. She's funny, and she also has a great arc that from start to finish is awesome. And I was very excited to see her pop up in WandaVision.
For like 2 minutes. Yep. She was
She's
Mephisto.
I said it first. I called it first.
She's got to come back. That had to be a seed. All I'm saying, that had to
I
be a
hope so.
seed.
Courtney, what about you?
I have a couple favorites. I agree with Cordelia. I love Cordelia. She's one of my favorite lines in the Angel pilot. She getting attacked by a vampire. No, and he's pretending he's not. And her comment is, "You're a vampire." He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." She goes, I'm from Sunnydale. I know what vampires are." I mean, she has some of the best snarky comes back. She's great. In terms of Buffy, I think my favorite side character in Buffy was probably Faith, because I thought she was a great antithesis character to everything that Buffy was supposed to be. And her arc was pretty fantastic too. And it carried on all the way through the end of Buffy and all the way into Angel.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her damaged Slayer kind of feel. And I mean, for those of us who had watched the movie knew that there was only supposed to be one Slayer at a time. So it was, what? There's another one? No, that's not right. Tell me what's going on.
And there was a million, yeah.
Yeah, then there was a million. And in terms of Angel, I really loved, I think Lorne was probably my favorite. He was the empathic demon who could read your thoughts, but he made you sing karaoke to do it. Which was awesome. And then I really liked Doyle, who we only saw for a few episodes in the first season. He was a really interesting, he got the visions. He's the one that told Angel where to go with the bad guys. And, he had a thing for Cordelia, because like who didn't at that point in time? And then his ending was a pretty good ending for a short-lived character. And I really liked him a lot.
So tell me.
Just to hop on the Doyle train, because I did love me some Glenn Quinn. I think had the actor lived, we might have seen him come back, because he was just such a fun character.
Mm-hmm.
So anyhow, I would say in Buffy, I was not a big Faith fan. I got it. I get it. She's got a great arc. I found her annoying, but that's just me. I was a big Willow fan, and we're going to see a trend, because in Angel, I was a big Fred fan. So Amy Acker, who I thought had such an amazing transformation in the final season into Illyria. And it was so fun to see her so very different. And I did love the team. I loved Gunn and Wesley and Fred all together.
Yeah.
I thought they really complemented each other. Lauren was super fun, but he didn't really become part of the team until much later in the show. So I'm sort of down with and especially the when both Gunn and Wesley have a thing for Fred, that whole arc was kind of fun and sad, but sweet. So
nice.
I love the battles, like the character battles that this show created. So you had like Spike and Angel, you had Wesley and Giles, you had there was a third one I was thinking of. Now I can't remember. But it really was the whole
Dawn and the fans.
Yeah, Dawn. No, there you go. You reminded me. Faith and Buffy, just that like people just, you either didn't like Faith or you did like Faith. Like it just it really created that whole like, what team are you playing for, that you really see in later like properties.
Now we all avoided on purpose Spike and Angel. Now, I feel like on Buffy anyway, it's two different shows. It's a lot more in depth and deep once Spike enters the picture. I mean, as a good guy instead of the bad guy. On Buffy, I think that's where the show splits into two different shows. I enjoy the Spike era a whole lot more than I enjoy the Angel era. I don't like Buffy and Angel together. I guess everyone's team Angel or team Spike. I guess I'd be team Spike. What do you guys think about that? As far as which one did you like better, and which one made the show better? More importantly than who you want to see her with. Christina, you had something you wanted to say.
I am team both. I love both of those characters equally. I know I'm not, but they both brought very unique things to Buffy and Angel. And when Spike actually moves over to Angelverse, it's brilliant. It's some of my favorite episodes are those two together, because they have this long-standing relationship, and there's that snarkiness, but there's that I've got your back. So I love both of them equally, because I just can't make a decision. They're both so pretty.
Neither could Buffy. That was the problem. So tell me.
I'm with the Cheeky Chi here. I was definitely team both. I think they have, it's this romantic idea that people get that, there is the one person for you in your life. And it's like, it's such a reality that there really could be more than one that ends up being a perfect match to you. And they're both such great foils to her in different ways. And then the bromance that they have when they are together is, it's everything a bromance should be, because it's the rivalry, it's the camaraderie, it's the, it's the giving each other guff. And I agree with Cheeky Chi. Some of my favorite episodes, actually one of my favorite episodes is definitely all about Angel and Spike having a thing. And it just makes me giggle thinking about it.
Lots of really bad slash fiction on the internet with those two.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah, I'm sure. Sure. Yeah, not that way. Not that way. No. I'm Courtney. In full support, but not of that one.
Courtney, go ahead.
Before I answer the question, I'm going to say a couple things. Spike was actually originally was from New Orleans. 2 days before they started shooting, Whedon turned to James Marsters and said, "We're going to make him British." And so they completely overhauled the character, and he had to switch his accent because he's actually American. And
that's a switch.
Well, because he practiced this Creole accent for so long, and he's good with accents. It's okay. And then the second thing is Spike was actually supposed to only be in the first episode. Really? He was never supposed to come back. But he was so popular that he ended up staying forever. And that said, I am team both. I was always on I like Angel and Buffy together because I like that redemption arc, but I also like that star-crossed lovers. We have to be apart. That's why I won't go into too much detail because I know it's on some people's favorites, top fives, but that's why the episode when she goes to LA in the first season of Angel is just so heart-wrenching for me because it's that make the decision, we can't be together.
So you watch a lot of Lady Hawk, don't you? I'm just kidding. Sorry.
I hate that movie.
I love Lady Hawk.
Whole can of worms on that one. What about you, Blythe? Did you? Yeah, you answered.
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
I'm definitely team Spike. I just like the character more. He's more fun. The things they do with them are more fun. I mean, even down to the fact that his name is Spike and he was shock collar trained into being good. Like, it's just fantastic what they did with him. And even going into the ongoing seasons, they just don't ever let up with it. I think that James Marsters just does a great job. I think he's just like a goofy actor. Like, anytime I see him, whatever character he's playing, I just have fun with it. And he just made that character really likable.
Absolutely. Now, there's another thing I noticed that more guys I've noticed are like Spike more. and girls usually like the Angel character more. I don't know why that is. But that's not everybody, but that's just what I've seen.
I will say this. Female wise, when it comes to which one I would prefer to,
Chris
you
Evans.
know what with? have some alone time. I love you, David Boreanaz.
Like biblically?
But James Marsters, bring me your Billy Idol inspired self.
Wow.
I'll see you in a month.
Poor
Just
guy.
saying. He first came on the screen and my mom said, Court, because my mom used to watch Buffy. She's like, Court, you need to come see this guy. I walked in and I'm like, hello there. And I usually prefer the dark, broody boys. Now when it comes to James Marsters, when he's dressed as Spike.
Very good.
So there you go.
Okay, we're going to jump on to our listener feedback.
And now, let's see what all of our geek rock stars have to say.
Okay, so for our listener feedback today, we asked what was your favorite character in the Buffy universe and why? And we got a lot of responses, but there was 2 that really stood out. So do you want to tell us what those were, Courtney?
Sure. Our first one is from Isaac Woodford. Isaac said Xander because there's nothing special about him, and yet he's always there to help and risk his life for the sake of his world. Danielle Ariana, I'm going to backtrack on her comment because she had a personal anecdote about Nicholas Brandon. She did a live performance of the Once More with Feeling episode, and Nicholas Brandon was there who reprised his role as Xander. He was so sweet and funny and a big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So thank you both for that. That was awesome. And then finally, Justin McLean said Spike. We love you, Justin. A soul was a curse for Angel. It brought him constant pain, and he lamented that continually by design because pure happiness, love, would revert him back to his soulless state. Spike, however, always sought out a soul, knowing he'd be continually faced with the evil that he'd done. He longed for it like a prize because of love. Spike was able to do without a soul what Angel couldn't do with one. He's easily the best written and performed character in television history. I would say he's probably the best written and best performed in the Buffyverse. I will give you that because it's good stuff. And then for him, Willow is a close second, especially in the second episode. And I'll talk about that when I get to my top 5. He also said it, alternate reality vampire was pretty fun too. So thank you both. And thank you everybody for your listener feedback. We appreciate it. Keep it coming.
Thanks, guys.
Now it's time for the main event.
Okay, so for our main event, we're going to be doing it a little bit funny because Satomi's a big freaking rock star, so she has curtain call because she's
too
better than
famous
all of
for
us
us now.
She's too famous.
So famous.
She's so
But she
famous.
squeezed us in.
Let me pencil you in for my 8:30.
It's a very tight squeeze.
We really do appreciate it, and nothing but love, Satomi. But we're going to do all of her top 5 first. Because she's got to bolt out here, and then we will do the rest of ours in just a few minutes. So for our top 5, we asked what are our top 5 favorite episodes. So Satomi, take it away, starting with number 5.
Okay, well, my number 5, we discussed it a little bit earlier, was The Girl in Question from Angel. And this is where both Spike and Angel go to Italy to check on Buffy because they're worried that she's in the thrall of what's his name again, you guys? He's like the oldest vampire.
Oh yeah.
Dracula?
No.
No,
She does say Dracula, but that's not it.
she does date Dracula. No, it's sort of. Dracula tries for her and then she dismisses him.
She's like,
Anyhow, you can put in the comments what his name is because I'm blanking
can't
on it right
remember.
now. And the fact that Angel ends up in that fantastic jacket makes me so happy. Number 4 is Doppelgangland, which was also mentioned earlier by in the comments, mainly because of alternate universe Willow. Bored now. I just love her. And then of course when Willow then disguises herself as alternate universe Willow, just gave me all the giggles.
All of them?
All of them, each one of them. My number 3 is Shiny Happy People from Angel, because of and I'm blanking on her name. I can't believe it. I love this actress so much, and she plays Jasmine. And I'm literally looking it up, y'all, because I feel horrible that I'm blanking on her name because she is so good. And then she later was in Firefly, who is just spectacular. Gina Torres, thank you, Blythe. I cannot believe I forgot her name, but I heart her, and I just loved her character. My number 2 is A Hole in the World, which is from Angel, and that is where we deal with Fred and the sarcophagus. And there's that moment where she and Wesley have finally come back together, and she sings "You Are My Sunshine," and Lorne turns around with this look of horror on his face. And then she coughs up blood, and it was such a shocking moment. It's really stuck with me. And then, of course, her transformation at the very end is so, it was just great television. It was just great television, and I love it. And my number 1 episode of all time in the Buffy Angelverse is Hush. It is an episode with 0 dialogue. It's all spoken. It's all done visually because everybody's voices are stolen. And that one scene where they're trying to figure out what to do with the slides, with Giles on the slides, and Buffy's like mad about that's not how big I am in the drawings, and then another moment which makes me like spit up anything I'm drinking at the time because I'm laughing so hard. I just think I love it. I do have honorable mentions. Go ahead.
It is easily the scariest episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The Gentleman is one of the scariest characters that show ever produced.
Yes.
And
yes.
Because the
terrifying.
Because the name I'm thinking, we need to see a crossover between Buffy and Doctor Who.
No. Oh my gosh.
No.
The silence.
Yeah. No, that would be amazing. Not this Doctor. Like probably Tennant. Yeah, Tennant I think would be perfect with Buffy.
I would only watch
it's the same era.
if Buffy pulls a Faith and immediately stabs the Doctor through the chest.
If it's the current Doctor, sure.
He just regenerated.
No, I love Jodie Whittaker.
Or at least the writing crew. So now that's something that before you take off on a Satomi, I want you to give us a little plug for what you're doing right now, which is why you have to take off.
I am performing in a live online play from Northern Stage called The Lodger. You guys, this is not just people sitting around in their boxes talking. This is produced. We've got sets, we've got props, we've got lighting, we've got sound cues. It's fun, it's funny. It's a murder mystery set in 1920s London, and it's just a ball, and it's live, so anything can happen. We have it is audience participation, but only optional, so you never have to turn on your camera if you don't want to. You don't have to speak to us, but if you like, you can come in on the fun. So again, northernstage.org/lodger, or check out my Facebook page because y'all, I'm plugging it. So those links are there,
and it's on the iHeart Geek page as well, because
it's delightful.
We'll have links in the descriptions and on all our social media pages too.
And did you do it, Satomi? It's a murder mystery. Did you do it? Did you kill him?
Did you do it? I'm not telling.
I know who did it.
I haven't seen it, so I don't know. So
I might have been accused, but I'm not telling.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Satomi, and we're going to get on to our top 5 list. We love you.
Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.
Bye, Satomi.
Okay, so now we get to do our top 5. Now, because we had 5 people on the panel, I want to give everyone a chance to do their honorable mentions. I'm not doing them because these guys are way more into the universe than I am. So, I'd say, the one that they finally explain why the sister's there, and that'd be kind of like where I am. that last one with all the Slayers, that's kind of where my knowledge is. So I'm going to let these guys completely take it away on this because they're a wealth of knowledge, and I will be asking a lot of questions in the meantime. So for number 5, let's start with Bly's.
My number 5 is The Gift, and that is an episode where after a long time of Dawn being around and being that annoying little sister and annoying the audience because no one liked her when she was there, she has a sacrificial moment with Buffy. Buffy, even after learning her true origins of where she came from and knowing that Dawn's not a real person and shouldn't really exist, Buffy still takes the plunge and sacrifices herself for the love of her sister because that love is true to her. And I think it's a really good episode for the arc of the Dawn character, especially after a lot of people didn't really jive with her all that well when she first appeared.
I want to say I like that character a lot. I didn't have the issue, but because I jumped in late, so I didn't know that there was no sister before. Yeah. It's like, okay, that's cool. I kind of like this character. I get it. So I never had the issue that a lot of people did, but yeah, I enjoyed the character a lot. Actually, I think she was one of the better characters in the show. But again, I didn't have that previous experience either.
I wonder if also in the early days of internet rumors, people thought that she was going to be taking over for Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah.
Everyone was going to lose.
Everybody was fan casting then.
Yeah.
Before we knew, don't do that because it'll ruin Star Wars.
We all know what happens when someone tries to replace our favorite character with another actor.
Yeah, well, unless it's Doctor Who. Okay, sorry. Go ahead. Christina, go ahead. What's your number 5?
Season 5, episode 14, Smile Time. This is on Angel. This is the episode where Angel gets turned into a puppet.
Everybody's puppets.
And no, Angel's the only puppet, and he fights the other puppets.
I like his puppet hair.
I love his puppet hair, but I love that moment when Spike figures out he's a puppet and he's laughing hysterically at him, and Puppet Angel still kicks Spike's butt. It's hilarious. There's the part where Nina the werewolf rips him to shreds because he's telling her this very heartfelt about how he likes her, and then all of a sudden she just reaches out because in this process she's turned into the werewolf and she grabs him and just rips him to shreds, and then he comes around and everybody's looking at him and all his stuffing's hanging out and they're like, what happened to you? It's just a fun episode. It really enhances that bromance between Spike and Angel. It just has a lot of fun, a lot of energy. And watching Gunn and Wesley beat up puppets as humans is hilarious.
Nice. Courtney?
Mine is from Angel as well. It's Parting Gifts. And it's the episode where Doyle sacrifices himself to save everybody else, but he also passes his visions onto Cordelia. And so it's where we get to say goodbye to the Doyle character, but it's where Cordelia starts to get the visions and becomes the seer, and which changes her arc considerably.
Yeah. Now, I didn't get to say this earlier with the Cordelia character, but I really like her arc in the fact that she started out as the bad guy. She was definitely, she was sandpaper. She was the
mean girl.
She was the mean girl. And then eventually she became part of them. And it wasn't an overnight thing. This happened over seasons. And I loved how they did that. That's one thing that Joss Whedon does so well. He knows how to do a slow build.
Yeah. And that's perfect for any kind of storytelling, is not to rush.
Unless it was Justice League, then he can't do it at all.
I just realized, Courtney, you should have corrected me. I just realized that when I was talking about my favorite character, I was naming the actress, not Cordelia. So I do know this genre. I watch this, but Charisma plays Cordelia.
And isn't she way older than everybody else on the cast? By 10 or 15 years? Mm-hmm. Doesn't look like it.
Not at all.
I don't think she's that old. I think she's our age.
I'm not even going to say it. Blythe, go ahead.
Well, I mean, during the thing, she was in her 20s. She actually originally auditioned, or she and Sarah Michelle Gellar actually auditioned for each other's roles.
She would have been
So
actually
she
fantastic.
auditioned for Buffy, and Sarah Michelle Gellar auditioned for Cordelia, and he cast him in the opposite parts.
Fair enough.
My number 4 is Buffy versus Dracula. And this is the first appearance of Dawn. And I really like this episode because you know me. I like the controversy. So
You? No,
Learning-
troll.
learning that that it was such a hot topic for the show at the time. It's just interesting. It builds on the story of why this show reached so many people. Because if you don't have an audience interaction like that, then it's not that magical of a show. But because you have something that happens like that, you know it's something that people hold near and dear to their heart. So I give props for Whedon for pulling that one out, because it could have went way wrong with it too.
Yeah,
it could have been the end of the show.
Christina?
Season 1, episode 8 of Angel, I Will Remember You. I know I'm telling people where they can find them. This is the second most heartbreaking episode in Angel. Buffy comes because they had a crossover on her show, and she's telling him, we need to stay away. They battle this demon. This demon's blood mixes with Angel's and turns him human. And he gets everything that he wants. He has a heartbeat. The scene where he's eating everything it's adorable. It's powerful. But then as it progresses and Doyle gets that vision that the whole world's going to be destroyed, and Angel has to make a decision to forever be apart from Buffy and go back to being Angel, because it's the only way that Buffy will live and that he can continue to save people and she can continue to save people. And it breaks my heart every single time, you guys, I've been married for almost 28 years and I love and adore my husband, and to have to make that decision to save his life or to save everybody else's, it's just powerful and it's strong and it just leaches every emotion out of you. It's better than Hallmark.
Oh, wow. That's fighting words right there.
I said that just for that look on Courtney's face. You guys are welcome, because that looks adorable.
Christina, I thought you said after 28 years, if he told me that he was going to get his soul back, I would just be like, you know what? You got to go. Get out of here.
Courtney?
My number 4 is Judgment from Angel. And it is the first introduction of the character of Lauren, who I mentioned earlier is probably one of my favorite side characters of all. He was simply known as the host in this one. He didn't have a name yet because I'm not sure that they counted on his popularity. Yeah. And he was just so popular because he brought like a lightness, even though he dealt with dark issues when he was reading Demon Souls and whatnot. And also you get the added bonus of David Boreanaz singing Mandy badly.
You came and you left without.
It's bad. It's so bad and it's so good. Because Lauren's power is he's able to read the future. He's an empathic demon. He's able to read the future, but you got to sing. So of course he owns a neutral space karaoke bar called Caritas. So.
Because why not?
Right. Like you do.
Blythe?
My number 3 is The Chosen. This is the episode where all the Slayers activate. So they have that montage of all the girls. I do too. I love it.
I love Felicia Day. I loved all those guys dying one at a time.
So I think when they introduced Felicia Day, that's when they were seeking out like the girls who would eventually become Slayers. But this is the one where all their powers actually activate. So you see like the little girl and she's like playing little league baseball, and then there's like a shimmer behind her, and then she cracks the ball and it just flies into the sky, and you just see all these girls start to activate, and it's like, oh man, like this is gonna get interesting now. And I always thought that the activation of the Slayer was interesting. So you have Buffy dies, and then I forget the second one's name before Faith, but then she activates, but then that one dies. So Faith activates, but Buffy still has her powers and stuff. So it's just, that was a real cool just story building in that world that Buffy has.
Nice. Christina?
Okay, so my brain stopped.
I hate when that happens.
Right. Okay, season 6, because Deb likes numbers. Episode 7, Once More with Feeling. I love me a good musical on any series, even when it's done badly. And
It was fun.
the song between Anya and Xander, I'll Never Tell, is by far one of my favorite songs in the universe because it's snarky, it's loving, it's terrible, and they both put so much into it that you just fall in love with them all over again.
Very good. Courtney?
Number 3, Life of the Party from Angel. Most of mine are from Angel. Just gonna say that now. And it's another Lauren heavy episode, but it's in season 5. Lauren has had his sleep removed. So he hasn't slept in a month because he has to keep going. And he's throwing a giant Halloween party at Wolfram and Hart Agency. And unbeknownst to everyone, if you remove an empath demon's sleep, the rage and everything else that he encounters starts to manifest. So they have to battle this giant, roided out Lorne, in addition to regular Lorne, who also, because at this point in time, anything he says you do, anything he thinks he suggests that you do, you have to do. So Wesley and Fred are drunk and they're not drunk.
Mm-hmm.
Gunn is peeing on everything because Lauren told him to stake his territory. So, I mean, it's this scary, fun, strange episode that I really liked.
Outstanding. Blythe, you're number 2, I believe.
My number 2 is Graduation Parts 1 and 2. It was just a fun episode. It was early 1999, early 2000s bad CGI at its best. And it's when she tells the school that she's the Slayer and they concoct a plan to defeat the mayor, and for some reason they've all got crossbows and axes, and a group of them are able to shoot flaming arrows with accuracy to shoot a vampire through the heart. And it's just a lot of fun. It's like the epitome of what Buffy is. Nice.
Christina?
Becoming season 2 episodes 21 and 22 of Buffy. Of course, it's an very angel heavy 2-part finale, and it's really well written. It's really well done. You get to see Angel as the tormentor, and at the very end, she finally gets him back, but she still has to kill him to save the world. And it's again one of those heartbreaking moments where Joss Whedon was so good about this, is pulling you in and you're like, I'm gonna get my happy moment. Nope, you're not.
Like
Watch
you do.
me pull this right out of you. So he just does it really well, and it's just a brilliant episode.
Very good. Courtney, you're number 2.
Hellbound from Angel at season 5. Spike, newly ghost Spike, feels the impending doom of being pulled into hell. So he starts seeing horrifying hallucinations that only he can see. And it's because the Reaper is coming. And I won't give any more away.
Spike becomes a ghost.
Number 1, Blythe?
My number 1 is Villains. This is where Willow goes full dark Willow, and
that was good.
Tara gets killed, and it just sends her down a path where she eventually fillets a man, and it's just super dark and
so gory.
I love it. It's so gory.
I think that's the goriest thing we saw on the show, honestly.
Yeah, it took the show to a place I didn't think that show would go. I honestly,
it needed to.
Yeah, as dark as the show got sometimes, I never thought, because it's not even just the fact that she fillets him.
It was
She
her.
makes him feel a bullet, like slowly going through his body so that he feels the pain that he caused on Terra. Like, it's crazy. And it's,
It's one of those episodes that still gives me chills to this day.
Oh,
yeah.
100%.
Christina, you're number one.
Spin the bottle. This is an angel. I'm actually with Courtney.
Because it reminds you of junior high. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm with Courtney. When the Buffy verse was going on, the minute Angel got his own show, it took me years to go back and finish Buffy. I followed that Angel arc and I just loved it. But this episode, they're trying to bring back Cordelia's memory, and Lauren accidentally makes them all teenagers. And there's this great bit where, Angel is now a teenager in Ireland, and somebody mentions he doesn't have an accent, and he's sitting in the corner. Why don't I have an accent? And he's repeating things. And then the moment that he realizes that he's the vampire, they're all trying to kill. And because he doesn't know he's a vampire. And it's a Lauren heavy episode. So you really get to see a lot of that Lauren one-on-one time, because he's kind of telling you the story as you go. It's just so well done.
Nice. Courtney?
Mine is Grave, which is actually the follow-up episode to Villains. So we're still dealing with Dark Willow. But this is the episode where not even Giles can bring her back, and then finally she's brought back. Like, that whole Dark Willow arc is just in general is a great, it's like 2 or 3 episodes long, and it's
Nice.
a great arc in general.
That's a show, guys. Blythe, actually, can you tell us where they can find everybody? Because I never make you do anything like this anymore. Tell us where they can find us.
Oh, the pressure's on. So you can find us at www.iheartgeekshow.com. There will be links to all of our social media there. You can also find us on all our social media at iHeartGeekShow. We got a lot of cool things coming down the pike for you. As you know, we have the Patreon ongoing right now with Star Wars. And yeah, did I forget anything?
Discord and
Discord. Yeah, Discord, TikTok we have going on. We got some cool things coming up on there. So just make sure you keep your eyes out, guys. We post a lot of stuff to our Facebook page, but we're getting even more integrated on Instagram and other social media channels like that. So just keep your eyes open. We got a lot coming for you.
And share us. With that, we appreciate more than anything else. Now we have 1 minute. We have 1 minute left. I got to ask this one question: yes or no? Would you be okay with a reboot if it's set after the death of Buffy and we have a new group and we keep the Buffy canon, but it's completely new? Would you be okay? Yes or no? Courtney.
No.
Christina.
Yes.
Blythe.
Yes, I would actually like a full reboot, because I love the controversy.
I'm actually going to say yes. And until next time, keep on geeking on, guys.
You have been listening to the latest episode of the iHeart Geek Show. Make sure you visit our website at www.iheartgeekshow.com. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And keep on geeking on to all of you geek rock stars.